welcome back into another episode of NA Now. I'm Brandon Hofstra, joined here with Janesville Jets head coach Joe Dibble. Joe, thanks for taking some time this summer to meet up with us.
No worries. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Obviously, last season didn't go as you guys wanted it to go, but what were your overall thoughts as the season unfolded?
Yeah, you know what? It's we had a young group. We started off really hot out of the gate there at the showcase, and then the next few weeks into it, and we ran into a little bit of an injury bug where we lost five, six key players to some season-ending injuries and
Mhm.
long-term injuries. But ultimately, it allowed our younger guys to get that experience that they might not have gotten that rookie season for them. So ultimately, I look at it and building for the future. It might be a blessing in disguise, right?
Right, definitely. The NAHL is known as the League of Opportunity. You guys continue to just produce NCAA commitments like crazy. You even had a player get drafted in the NHL, Chris Pelosi. Talk about those feelings, and obviously every year you have good emotions, obviously, of players moving on to the next step.
Yeah, I think ultimately for us and for myself, our staff, our organization here, it's we really try to live by that player first model. The development side of things. I mean, hockey's these players are in a situation where hockey's opening up doors for their future.
Right.
So for us, we make sure we put a huge focus on the development side and letting our guys when they have opportunities to go to the USHL during season. We promote those types of things. So I think not just us though, this entire league is, I mean, hockey in general, right?
Right.
But we're putting a ton of kids in not just a college hockey, but also into pro hockey. So it's a model that we've had in Janesville for the last 11, 12 years with the way we've done things. But I mean, for us, we really enjoy when we look back over all the years and you still see these guys playing pro hockey, or now some of them are, graduating and getting married
Right.
and whatnot. But it's that path that they had and the what they're doing in their lives now started in Janesville,
Yeah.
and not just creating better hockey players, but better people as well. So to see these guys go off and earn and achieve scholarships to play college hockey, not just theirs, but their families' faces and expressions and the
Right.
gratitude and whatnot is something that you can't really replace.
Right.
So
That's what it's all about at the end of the day, right?
100%. And it makes everything easier too, right? On the recruiting side and getting players, not just to come to the Janesville Jets, but to come into our league as well.
Right.
So, yeah.
The off season is just about to end, believe that or not. But what were some of the biggest needs for your team that you saw coming into the off season?
Yeah, I mean, for the players we had get drafted, into the USHL, and then some of the guys that went into school early, we kind of needed to, find all positions for our team this year. Up front, maybe a little bit less than the back end, right? But it was one of those things where we needed to go find scoring. We needed to find some veterans because of like as young as we are, guys that we planned on having back, ended up getting whether it's pulled into college or the USHL. So, but
Right.
our main focus, I would tell you, was probably scoring and a little bit harder to play against.
Who are some of those returners that are coming back this season?
Yeah, you've got Noah Gibbs is coming back. A Canadian for us who I'm expecting big things for, right?
Mhm.
Up front, there's Matthew Hale is coming back. Ethan Begg is going to be our captain this year. We missed him last season. He actually tore his labrum in his hip, so we had to shut him down. Halfway point of the season for the rest of the year for his surgery. But those are key players, up front that we have some big expectations for, and then on the back end, we've got Connor Brown coming back, who's a guy that should be running our power play and be a very offensive piece for us. And I know he's had a big off season, so we're extremely excited to see him back there again. And and obviously Peter Sterling in the net. He's another one that we had to shut down. He went into surgery, tore his labrum, so he missed majority of the season, but participated, got invited to Philly's development camp this year and
Very cool.
this summer, and he's progressing really well. So we're excited for
Yeah,
him.
good opportunity for him. Let's talk about the Midwest Division. It was as competitive as ever last season. I think every other weekend it was somebody new that was leading. But how do you keep those guys motivated for 60 games, or excuse me, for full 60 to try to pull out a win every night, every weekend?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is these guys have to battle for one another, right? Like they have to want to go out there and compete every shift for the guy next to them more than they do for themselves. So I'm a big believer that when you can get your group to battle and compete for one another more and harder than they do for themselves, a lot of great things can happen. It's a long season. So at the end of the year, when you're seeing the same team maybe 4 games in a row, they're out there competing for one another and they're not worrying about anything else other than the future of their teammates. So that's the big thing for us. We push and we preach that give it to the guy next to you. Give everything you have for him, and you give him 110% every time you're on the ice. So good things are going to happen.
Joe, the people of Janesville have shown you guys some great support over the years. How much does it mean to get that motivation from them and the push for the team? And then how do you guys look to get back to the playoffs and that want to hoist the Robertson Cup?
You know what? It's a phenomenal community. We're very fortunate. Everything just from our billets and the fan support, and our guys do a lot in the community as well. To pay back on all of our fans that come out, and not just to our games. I mean, we have some of our billets that and fans that fly up to Alaska for a week for a little
Wow.
vacation. Middle of winter, I
Mhm.
little different of a vacation, but it just shows the support and what they have for these players. So that community is very special. It's dear to all of us while we're in Janesville. We make sure that when our guys get here, that they become part of that community. So, and when it comes to the playoffs and everything, the Robertson Cup, that's something that it doesn't happen overnight, right? It takes time and it takes a lot of give from those players and sacrifices, throughout the entire season. But we plan on doing whatever it takes for one another to make sure that we find ourselves in a situation to not just make the playoffs, but to make some noise in the playoffs and make a run at this thing this year.
Season starts here in less than a month. September 8th is when it all kicks off. Showcase, which you're no stranger to, is right around the corner as well. But how excited are you for this spectacle of an event coming up here with all the scouts from the NHL to the NCAA?
Extremely excited. It's obviously one of the most important parts of the season for our players, right? They're able to go showcase themselves in front of everybody, and it's that time frame where a lot of these kids get put on the map to these colleges and maybe even pro guys. So ultimately, it's a good experience for everything. It's so early in the season where you don't know what your team is going to be yet, right?
Right.
Where you're still kind of going through your rosters, and it's almost like a training camp, kind of still part of training camp, right? But for us, we're able to put guys in different situations, and ultimately, we're there to win hockey games and showcase our players in front of those colleges. And I don't know if there's another place like it to be able to do that. So you look at the commitments that come out of it every year, and it gets better and better, and you get to see all the college guys under one building, and
Mm-hmm.
we don't get to see that happen, very often throughout the season. But it's one of those things where our guys also get to see the rest of the league and how
Right.
teams are playing, and being able to kind of see what we're going to be competing against throughout the year in our division, but also get to see the teams that hopefully we're going to see in the Robertson Cup this year.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we're excited as ever for this thing to get started, and we appreciate your time more than ever. Appreciate it, Joe. Thank you for doing this.
Yep, no worries. Thanks for having me.